It was a calm night when William Mason, a powerful millionaire known for his relentless pursuit of success, was returning home after another grueling day at work. He was a man who had turned everything in his life into a profitable venture, his mind constantly consumed by thoughts of money and power. However, that night, something different awaited him. As he approached the grand entrance of his luxurious mansion, a soft, almost imperceptible sound made him pause. It was a cry, a sound that seemed to emanate from the depths of someone's soul. Intrigued, William followed the sound and discovered a wicker basket resting on the marble steps. Inside the basket lay two babies, twins, swathed in an old blanket. Their small faces were silent, as if they understood the gravity of their situation. Stunned, William stood motionless. He, who had always planned for every eventuality, was at a loss for what to do. Next to the basket was a letter, hastily written and trembling in his hands. It read, "I know you can give them what I cannot. Please take care of my children." There was no name, no indication of who the mother might be. In that moment, something within William shifted. For the first time in years, he felt his heart race for something other than wealth or influence. He remembered his own childhood, his days spent alone in a cold orphanage, vowing to himself that he would never feel abandoned again. Carefully, he picked up the basket and entered his enormous mansion, which had always served as his sanctuary. Yet now, it felt daunting. The expensive decor and countless accolades lining the shelves seemed to mock his uncertainty. He placed the basket on the table and caught a glimpse of his reflection in the mirror. The man staring back at him was a stranger. Where was the powerful CEO who had built an empire? Unsure of what to do next, he contemplated calling his lawyers or the police, but those options felt too distant, too cold. Meanwhile, the babies gazed up at him with innocent trust, a trust he felt he didn't deserve. The night passed in a blur of makeshift diaper changes, frantic Google searches for bottle preparations, and moments of sheer desperation. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, the front door swung open. It was Sarah, his personal assistant, who had been with him for years. She entered the room and halted, her eyes wide with surprise as she saw her boss awkwardly holding two infants. "Mr. Mason," she asked, her voice tinged with confusion and concern. Exhausted and overwhelmed, William looked at her and admitted, "I think I need some help with this." With her usual efficiency, Sarah jumped into action, organizing a makeshift space to care for the babies while William watched in admiration. He had spent the night fumbling through fatherhood, while she seemed to handle everything with ease. "Mr. Mason," Sarah said softly but firmly, "we need to talk about what happened and what we're going to do now." William sighed heavily. "I don't know, Sarah. They were abandoned. I couldn't just leave them." With compassion, she replied, "Of course not. But we need to think about the next steps, both legally and morally." Hearing the word legally jolted him back to reality. "I'll call the lawyers. They'll know what to do," he said. Sarah observed him thoughtfully before asking, "And what do you really want to do?" Her question took him off guard. He had spent years prioritizing the needs of his company and shareholders, neglecting his own desires. Looking at the babies now peacefully sleeping in Sarah's arms stirred something deep within him, a yearning he thought he had long buried. A decision began to form, one that would change everything. As the sun rose higher, William Mason, the cold and calculating billionaire, was about to embark on a journey he had never imagined. A journey that would force him to rediscover parts of himself he thought were lost forever. Suddenly, his phone rang, cutting through the moment. It was Jessica, his secretary. "Mr. Mason, the board is calling for an emergency meeting. Rumors are spreading." Nervousness washed over him. How had the news traveled so fast? He picked up the phone and replied, "Tell them I'll be there in an hour." Turning to Sarah, he asked, "Can you take care of them while I go?" "Of course, but you need to decide what you're going to say and what you're going to do, Mr. Mason." She smiled, her expression one of support. Feeling the weight of his impending decision, William glanced back at the twins. He knew what he had to do. When he arrived at Mason Enterprises, the atmosphere was tense. Whispers filled the hallways as people cast curious glances at him. He entered the boardroom, where everyone was already waiting, and Dr. Evelyn Harris, his mentor and the most senior board member, regarded him with concern. "William," she began, breaking the heavy silence, "there are rumors circulating, something about babies left at your door." Taking a deep breath, William faced the room. The rumors are true. Last night, 2 babies were left at my door. Twins. Silence fell over the boardroom, thick and palpable. Finally, Victor Goodman, one of the more conservative investors, broke the quiet. And you, of course, called the authorities, didn't you? William hesitated. In that brief moment, he saw disapproval flicker across the faces around him. William, you're not thinking about keeping them, are you? Dr. Harris asked, her tone calm but firm. Yes, I am considering it, he replied, feeling an unexpected surge of certainty wash over him. The room erupted into murmurs and discussions filled with concern for the company's image and whether William could manage both the demands of fatherhood and leading a billion-dollar enterprise. This is madness, Victor shouted. You have no experience with children. Think about the impact this will have on the company, on the shareholders. William felt anger rise within him. And what about the impact on these babies' lives? What's going to happen to them? Throw them into the system? I grew up like that. Victor, I know what it's like to be just a number, not a person. Dr. Harris watched him closely. William, no one doubts your good intentions, but you need to consider the implications. Your life will change completely. William looked around the room at the faces he respected, people with whom he had built an empire. Yet, in that moment, their opinions felt distant and insignificant. My life has already changed, he stated calmly. The moment I found them, everything changed. I'm not asking for permission. I'm informing you of my decision. I'm going to keep the twins. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of his determination. Dr. Harris was the first to break the stillness. Well, it looks like we have a lot of work ahead. William, you're going to need support. Let us help you handle all of this. A sense of relief washed over him. He wasn't alone in this unexpected journey. As the meeting continued, discussing logistics and public relations strategies, William allowed himself to feel a glimmer of hope. Upon returning home, he found Sarah rocking the twins. She looked at him, silently asking what he had decided. William met her gaze, filled with resolve. They are staying. Sarah smiled, a smile that conveyed her unwavering belief in him. Welcome to fatherhood, Mr. Mason. We're about to embark on quite the adventure. William looked down at the tiny faces, and for the first time in years, he felt he was exactly where he needed to be. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles he couldn't even begin to imagine. Yet, as he gazed at the 2 babies fate had placed in his arms, he understood that every struggle would be worth it. Gently, he picked up one of the infants, feeling the light weight in his arms, and murmured with emotion, "Welcome to the family. I promise I'll do my best for you." With that promise, William Mason, the billionaire known for his cold and calculating demeanor, took his first step on the most important journey of his life, fatherhood. It was a path he had never envisioned taking, but one that now felt like the most natural thing in the world. The first few months as a single father of twins were a whirlwind for William. His once orderly mansion became a chaotic landscape of diapers, bottles, and sleepless nights. But amid the exhaustion, a fierce determination burned in his chest. He didn't just want to care for the twins, he wanted to shield them from a world that could be cruel and unjust. Throughout this tumultuous adjustment, Sarah proved to be an invaluable ally. Her experience as a mother and incredible efficiency made her indispensable. She not only helped with the practical aspects of caring for the babies, but also recognized when William seemed lost in darker thoughts. "Mr. Mason," she said one day while helping to change little Jack, "you seem distant. Is everything okay?" William sighed, trying to dress little Lily but struggling. "I'm fine, Sarah. It's just that everything has changed so quickly." She nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "Change can be scary, but it can also be the start of something incredible," she reassured him. At the company, William faced different challenges. He struggled to stay focused in meetings, especially after sleepless nights. Yet, amidst the chaos, he began to discover a newfound strength. Instead of hiding his struggles, he opened up to his colleagues, sharing his experiences of juggling fatherhood and his responsibilities. "What I thought was a burden turned into a blessing," he told the board during one meeting. "These babies have taught me the meaning of dedication, love, and sacrifice in ways I never knew possible." Slowly, the board members began to rally around him, understanding that his leadership was not just about profits but also about humanity. They created a family-friendly environment, allowing flexible hours and support for employees with families. As the weeks turned into months, William found himself flourishing in both his roles as a father and a CEO. With Sarah's help, he developed a routine that kept the twins happy while still allowing him to meet his business obligations. The nights remained long, but he found joy in the quiet moments spent rocking them to sleep, softly singing lullabies that seemed to bridge the distance between his past and present. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, William sat on the floor of the nursery, surrounded by toys scattered everywhere. As he watched Lily and Jack giggle and play, he was flooded with emotion. He had come to cherish every moment, the good and the bad. "Can you believe this?" he said, looking at the twins, who stared back at him with wide eyes, blissfully unaware of the world outside. "I went from being a lonely billionaire to a father of twins. What a crazy twist of fate." Just then, his phone buzzed, and he picked it up to find a message from Dr. Harris. "We're having an event next week. I'd like you to speak about your experience as a new father. It might inspire others." William smiled at the idea. Sharing his story would allow him to connect with others who might be facing their own unexpected journeys. When the day of the event arrived, he stood before the audience, feeling the weight of their attention. As he shared his experiences, he saw the faces of parents nodding in understanding and empathy. "Becoming a father has transformed me in ways I never imagined," he concluded. "I learned that true wealth isn't measured in dollars or accolades, but in love and connection. I may not know everything about being a parent, but I'm learning, and I promise to give my twins the life they deserve." As applause filled the room, William felt a wave of warmth wash over him. It was more than acceptance. It was a community rallying around a shared experience of love and responsibility. Walking off the stage, he felt lighter, more fulfilled than he ever had as a businessman. As he glanced at the twins asleep in their stroller, he knew he had found his true calling. Life would continue to throw challenges his way, but William Mason was ready to face them head-on. He had discovered a new fortune, one that he would cherish far more than any financial success. The journey ahead was still unpredictable, but now it was filled with hope, love, and the joy of fatherhood. As he headed home, he could already picture the laughter and chaos awaiting him. In that moment, he embraced the beautiful madness of his life and the unexpected path he had taken. In the end, William Mason learned that the greatest legacy he could build was not a towering empire but a family grounded in love. And with that knowledge, he stepped into the future with confidence, ready to navigate the highs and lows of fatherhood, one day at a time. If you enjoy what I do and want to see more, please consider following my accounts and sharing them with your friends. Every follow, like, and share makes a huge difference and helps me reach more people who can benefit from the content I create. Together, we can build something amazing. Thank you for your support. Person raising both hands in celebration sparkles.